Hello and welcome to Ireland AM. It is Wednesday, the 9th of November.
On today's show, we're talking midterms, music and magic.
You're going to ask me to beat me up, Scotty.
No, because I was going to say, and we're joined by a very special guest, Captain Kirk, as Anthony, our cameraman, was like, Jenny Mackers, look at you today. Can you give us a live long and prosper? That way.
Anyway, first up,
think?
we are going to head stateside to get the latest results from the midterm elections as the Democrats and Republicans battle to control Congress.
For the anxiety levels go through the roof with the lunacy that's happening there. We meet the soprano who says singing is a sport and hear how she trained Dermot Kennedy to reach new heights.
That's an amazing story. Look forward to that chat. Later, the talented TikTok magician Joel M shares his mind-boggling illusions and chats influencing celebs and, of course, his new job on Blue Peter.
Did you watch that when you were growing up? Peter?
Yeah, well, with the dog and all, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't it wasn't like Bosco or anything like that. Alan, good morning. Hi.
Morning.
Are you paying attention? Alan was off there.
Paying attention.
Blue Peter, you were doing amazing on that. Children and animals.
I did watch Blue Peter, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
And hated every second of it.
Yeah, it was a bit, yeah. Anyway. Now, we're going to be talking shock exit, new campmates and facing fears on I'm a Celeb a little later on, plus a hidden veg recipe for fussy eaters, and we're dressing for the weather with cosy coats on the catwalk. Brilliant. That's all coming up.
Lots to look forward to. Thank you very much for that, Blue Alan. Before all that, let's get our news with Cliodhna Russell.
Thanks, Tommy. Good morning. Attention will focus on the future of Facebook today amid speculation it could begin a process of significant layoffs. It was reported earlier this week that its parent company Meta could start notifying workers from today. It directly employs 3,000 people in Dublin and 6,000 more people service the business. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has previously said the company is likely to reduce the size of certain teams within the organisation. Voting has ended in the US midterms and counting is well underway, but it could be some time until it's known which party will control Congress. All seats in the US House of Representatives are up for grabs, as are 35 US Senate seats. Republicans need 5 seats to take a majority in the House and just 1 to control the Senate. While Donald Trump has loomed large over these elections, the former US president has teased a comeback, telling reporters he's going to make a very big announcement next Tuesday. Our news correspondent Richard Chambers is in Washington, D.C.
Well, the votes have been cast, if not fully counted at this point, and all eyes are already drifting towards 2024. Donald Trump last night, in an interview with Newsmax, a conservative news station here in the US, said he should be given all the credit for the Republican candidates who win and none of the blame if they lose. He has, of course, said multiple times now that he is preparing a big announcement on his 2024 plans. Of course, that does mean he will be running for president once again in 2024. And polling data released last night by CNN from voters who voted in these midterm elections would paint a particularly rosy picture for him, and bad for Joe Biden too. About 34% of Americans responding to that exit poll do not believe that Donald Trump lost the 2020 presidential election. Baselessly do not believe that he lost that election, while the picture for Joe Biden is also not very good whatsoever. A lot of people disapproving of his handling of the economy, saying that he shouldn't be running in 2024, and that is actually exacerbated by the virtue of the fact that the polling numbers actually get worse in some of those crucial battleground states, those swing states, which effectively carried him to power in 2020 and will potentially block him from becoming president again in 2024. You've already had a number of prominent Democrats come out saying it's time for a next generation candidate for the Democratic Party if they are to beat Donald Trump again. So that conversation probably going to pick up in volume over the next number of days.
The UN Climate Conference has entered its 4th day and the thorny issue of finance is being discussed. For years, rich nations have blocked the idea of paying reparations for having caused permanent environmental damage to poor countries. However, this year, funding for loss and damage is back on the table.
If COP27 is Africa's climate conference, its motto is essentially, show me the money. Today is Finance Day at Sharm el-Sheikh. Developing nations, frustrated that the big words from the mouths of rich nations have not been backed up by hard currency, are looking for reparations. This year, funding to address so-called loss and damages is on the agenda, having been largely absent at last year's conference in Glasgow. Loss and damage refers to the permanent destruction soon to be wrought by climate change on vulnerable nations, destruction caused by the carbon emissions of wealthy ones. To date, the idea of creating a fund to address this damage has been blocked by the US, the UK and much of the EU. Instead, money towards an insurance fund has been offered up. Known as the Global Shield Initiative, Micheál Martin yesterday committed €10 million towards it.
If this generation doesn't step up urgently, future generations will not forgive us.
But the insurance approach has been criticised by poor nations, who see it as an attempt to sideline the thorny issue of direct reparations. Meanwhile, the external costs, the amount of money vulnerable nations will need to bring in to address the scale of climate breakdown, is now estimated to be around $1 trillion annually. Aubrey Robinson, Virgin Media News.
Wages have climbed higher than pre-pandemic levels but lag behind the inflation rate. That's according to a report by Central Bank and jobs website Indeed. It draws on data from millions of job postings, examining trends in posted wages across France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain and the UK. Wage growth in Ireland reached 4.7% by October, which is still behind the country's inflation rate of almost 10%.
For car insurance, van insurance or home insurance, call the Quote Devil. Unless, of course, you've got money to burn.
This morning will be sunny with scattered showers that will become isolated towards midday. Highest temperatures of 8 to 11 degrees. This afternoon will become cloudier in the west with some patchy outbreaks of rain and drizzle developing. Highest temperatures of 11 to 14 degrees, while moderate southwesterly winds will freshen through the afternoon, becoming strong near western coasts. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with wind and patchy outbreaks of rain spreading northeastwards across the country. Fresh to strong southerly winds will keep it very mild with lowest temperatures of 9 to 12 degrees. And that's your weather outlook.
For first-time drivers, young drivers, returning drivers, if you've had an open claim or have had too many penalty points.
It's that time every 2 years when we all become experts in American electoral science. No, we don't. The contest for control of Congress is hanging in the balance as the votes are being totted up. Were you not watching John King and his wall on CNN last night?
Not.
Love a bit of John.
We're going to hear how the US midterm election results are standing. That's coming up after the break. You're very welcome back. The US midterm results are well underway. So will Republicans or Democrats gain control of the House of Representatives and the Senate?
We're joined now by the Irish Times journalist Martin Wall, live from Washington, and Newstalk's Anton Savage is here in studio. Thank you both so much for being here. Martin, we'll start with you first. And these races, there's 35 seats up. A third of the Senate is up for election right now. They do that every 2 years. And of course, all of the House of Representatives. How close is this election likely to be?
Well, in the last few minutes, the Republican likely new Speaker of the House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy, has claimed victory for the Republicans and said they will take back the House of Representatives come January when the new Congress is sworn in. However, it's a bit of a mixed bag. By no means is the Republican wave, as they call it here, the Republican dominance of the election that was forecast, that has not materialized at all. The Democrats, who were considered to be very vulnerable along the East Coast, largely held on to their seats. And but basically the Republicans are heading towards a majority, or seem to be leaning towards a majority, but it could be 3, 4, potentially 5 seats, much less than the 60 seats sweep that they were forecasting some time ago. And in the Senate, the Democrats, it's still up in the air overall. We're still awaiting results in certain states, but the Democrats had a huge coup about an hour ago when their candidate John Fetterman won the crucial seat of Pennsylvania. So it will come down probably to Georgia to determine whether the Democrats continue to hold the Senate. The Republicans are likely, now we still don't know, they're still counting in the West Coast at the moment, We still don't know, but the likelihood is that the Republicans will gain a small majority in the House of Representatives. And the third leg of voting that was going on today was largely for governors of states. And again, Democrats did very well. Seats that were considered vulnerable, Democratic governors that were considered vulnerable, were re-elected in many cases. So it's a bittersweet night for the Democrats. They certainly performed far better than had been anticipated. However, they just came up short in terms of maintaining their control of the House of Representatives, and the Senate is still in play as we speak.
Martin, what is the atmosphere like in America at the moment? But with what's going on, it just seems so divisive. If the House of Representatives is taken by, say, the Republicans, like what is that? What way is that going to lead over the next few weeks?
It is going to be very, very challenging for the president, Joe Biden. Joe Biden's popularity is underwater. He is more unpopular than he is popular. There's big issues regarding inflation, cost of living, very much as there are in Ireland. But the likelihood is that if the Republicans take control, it will be a big challenge to both his domestic agenda and possibly his foreign policy. On his domestic agenda, it's getting his budget through. The Republicans are likely to look for spending cuts that in certain areas that to balance budgets or move towards balanced budgets. That will be very unpopular with the Democratic base. They will have control of committees that can carry out investigations into the policies of Mr. Biden's administration. They will look at things like the rather chaotic withdrawal of US forces from Afghanistan last year, how that was carried out. There'll be issues in relation to how the handling of COVID was. And then there'll be issues, there will be investigations into the business dealings of Mr. Biden's son, Hunter Biden, which is a big issue for Republicans over the last while. So there'll be an endless stream of subpoenas and demands for committee appearances. And so we'll have to see how that goes in the next few months. On the issue of Ukraine, which has been the cornerstone, basically, of the president's foreign policy over recent months, the Biden administration has provided billions and billions of dollars in both financial and military aid to Ukraine. And the Republicans are indicating, well, we will not continue with a blank check approach, as they call it, in relation to the Ukraine issue. So that will be potentially problematic, particularly if they link funding to Ukraine to spending cuts and link both the domestic and foreign policy in that regard. Okay. So even though the Republicans may have a small majority, they can still cause particular problems for the president in the months ahead.
And we're talking there, like, from an international point of view, which, America isn't huge. The people of America aren't huge on foreign policy. They don't really care outside their own country, but it does embolden Vladimir Putin if they do cut back on aid to go to Ukraine. Like, it does have a worldwide effect, these elections.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I think the position, the GOP hasn't exactly nailed its colours to this mast, but Trump, who is now effectively the voice of the GOP, has said that in relation to Ukraine, that effectively it never would have happened if he was in office. And he has made great hay out of the fact that he is one of the very few American presidents not to have started any wars. So the background mood music would be, yes, it'd be less likely to see big popular support for billions being poured into the Ukraine war.
And Trump then has said he's teased a big announcement. Is he expected to run again in 2024?
Yes, the entire world's media is looking at him and saying, see you next Tuesday, because that's when he is apparently going to make a big announcement in Mar-a-Lago. The announcement that we assume is going to be that he is running for president.
You're a pup.
But he would be at the age of 78 then.
He would. Which would normally be a problem. There's that great line that Reagan had when I think he was about 78 at the same time, and he was running in the presidential debate, and it was a big issue in the election. And Reagan stood up and he said, look, I'm going to make one promise about age. I am not going to make it an issue in this campaign. I will not highlight my opponent's youth and inexperience. And that absolutely solved it. But that was seen as a critical issue for Reagan when he was about the same age as Trump. If Trump was up against a younger person, you might say, but Biden is 80 or late 70s, early 80s, and is perceived to be 163. So age isn't going to be an issue for
But
Trump.
let's talk about that, because unfortunately, it's an anxiety-riddled mess for the rest of the world. Like, I remember when he was like, you'd wake up sweating as to what the man was going to do and what he was going to get rid of. The Democrats made Roe versus Wade and abortion top of the agenda. The Republicans have gone after inflation. Maybe the Democrats made a mistake there. For Joe Biden, is it time for him to go and because it seems like there's so much infighting inside the Democratic Party, is it time for them to go, OK, we need to start bringing someone up who is younger? Because, Joe, you haven't a hope.
I think that there's a whole lot of layers in this. First of all, as to the thing of Roe versus Wade, if you look at the CBS exit polls, they're interesting. The top two issues of voters coming out, inflation and abortion, which would suggest that there is a Democratic vote that came out on the abortion issue, because we assume that goes either two ways. On the inflation thing, the fact that Joe Biden has done as well as he has done, because we tend to say, will he lose the House, will he lose the Senate? But the reality is, for a first-term incumbent midterm president to do as well as he's doing is fairly miraculous. There hasn't been an incumbent president to have this kind of result. I think you're going back pre-Clinton before you get these kind of numbers. So if you're the Democrats, you're looking at Biden saying, well, you may think he's a bit old, you may think he fluffs a bit when he gets on TV, but when you put him in front of the voters, he works. He won the last general election, or he won the last presidential, and he won the midterm election. So
forget about his popularity numbers. The fact is, we expected this red wave across America, which we did, which hasn't happened. So he is doing something right.
He is getting the successes at the ballot box, which is his ultimate job. Now, the question then is, if you replace him with somebody, it is the ultimate vote of lack of confidence for his agenda. Because if the Democrats say, well, Biden did a great job over the last 4 years, but we're sending him out to pasture, well, the Republicans can campaign on that alone to say, well, they clearly can't even run the same president twice. So I think they're going to have a very tough problem.
So you can't be honest and go, he's knackered.
But he won't. It's up to him. And his answer is, I am like hell, I'm going to come back. They're bigger... Sorry.
Well, we get back to Martin quickly on that. But Martin, do you agree with that? Do you think that Biden, they're going to have to stick with him?
Well, certainly, as you were saying there, it is a good night for Joe Biden. He is probably has recorded the best results of a first-term president at their initial midterm elections since George W. Bush after 9/11. Okay. So he's done very, very well tonight. The other piece, just going back to what you were saying in relation to Donald Trump, the big winner out of tonight has been Ron DeSantis in Florida, who could very well be Trump's big rival. DeSantis crushed his opponent in the governor's race in Florida. He got his redistricting of this, or basically the redrawing of constituency boundaries in Florida, has led to 4 additional Republicans being elected to the House of Representatives. If they get the majority, it'll largely be due to what DeSantis actually did. You had today Trump warning DeSantis not to enter the race and warning that he had unflattering material that he would release to journalists about DeSantis if he did. So Trump is obviously rattled. Trump's candidate in Pennsylvania, Mehmet Oz, has been defeated. Now, to be fair, his candidate in Ohio, J.D. Vance, has won, so it's a bit of a mixed bag there. But the big winner tonight in American politics is Ron DeSantis. Wow. And DeSantis can basically say that, if you want to win, follow me. Yeah, so it'll be fascinating.
It's amazing that he can just live and be like, I'm just going to extort you. I've got material on you. And all the stuff that was released about him, and it was like, yeah, you're a terrible human being and you're awful and you could be going to jail. But he's like, I've got something on you. You kicked a cat.
If they get the Senate and the Representatives, the House...
Oh, yeah, they'll stop all the impeachment. Anyway.
OK, listen, Martin Wall, of course, Irish Times Washington correspondent. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Anton Savage, you're going to hang around to talk through some more news stories as well. Thank you very much for that. Alan, what else is coming up next?
Well, Tommy, from warnings of hospital overcrowding to soaring sales of air fryers, we've more of today's headlines coming up after the break.
Welcome back. It's time now to take a look at today's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline, plan to link job seekers' benefit to previous earnings. Higher earners could receive larger welfare payments if they lose their job under fresh proposals due to go to Cabinet before Christmas.
The Sun goes with COVID rules sent Olivia packing. I'm a Celebrity. Strict COVID rules forced Olivia Attwood to sensationally drop out of the show.
Schoolgirl only. Fans blackmail nightmare. Schoolgirl only fans blackmail nightmare. That's the front page of the Herald. 3 men blackmailed a teen girl by threatening to disclose explicit photographs from her OnlyFans account to her family and friends if she didn't hand over €10,000.
The Star leads with stab terror at OAP's flats. Pensioners in a gated complex in Ballyfermot in Dublin are living in fear after a man was stabbed to death at the complex.
Now, the Irish Independent's front page reads, surged in theft due to the cost of living crisis. Garda Commissioner Drew Harris has linked the cost of living crisis to a sharp rise in the number of burglaries.
The Mirror's headline, My 35,000 electric bill shock. A village grocer shocked by 2 electricity bills totalling €35,000 has warned small shops will shut under skyrocketing costs.
The Examiner's front page, 100,000 without hospital beds this year. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly has admitted there are unacceptable shortcomings in the health service, with more than 100,000 patients forced to wait without a bed in hospitals so far this year.
And the Daily Mail also goes with the staggering figures. 100,000 without a bed in hospital this year. Hospital overcrowding is at unprecedented levels.
Now, Anton Savage has been kind enough to stay with us this morning, and we're going to start with those hospital overcrowding figures. Stephen Donnelly says it's unacceptable, so it's all fixed.
Yeah, Stephen Donnelly, the longer that we are exposed to him, the more it seems like he regards analysis and solution as synonymous, which they aren't. So we've had further analysis from Stephen Donnelly saying things are very bad and something needs to be done, and we keep our fingers crossed that he might do it.
Do something as the Minister for Health.
Indeed, yeah. So he has a whole series of long-term strategies, like Sláinte Care, like all the rest of it, that he says is going to be the panacea for all ills. As of yet, we're a long way away from the solution. We've seen a winter plan specifically for the health service where they've poured a couple of $100 million, which sounds like a lot, but when the health budget is 23,000 million.
Yeah, 23. I was reading that, like the budget for health is 23 billion.
It is huge.
It's
and
incredible.
in terms of total expenditure, it's something to the order of, I think, around 1 in 5, 1 in 6 of every euro collected in tax gets poured into the health system, which in one way is a very good thing because we have a public health system, and isn't it great that we do?
But it doesn't work.
That's the other problem. And what the Irish Nurses and Midwives Organisation, who of course have such a good history on keeping check of things like the trolleys and the waiting list, they're saying that of the, I think, 1,200-ish beds that were due to come on stream coming into the winter to help with the winter surge. So far, there are 232 that have yet to come on stream. And we have to remember that we're a long way away from the full of winter. We've had a mild autumn.
We certainly have.
And we haven't seen the upsurge in respiratory infections, COVID and flu that we have been told is coming. So if we're already under stress at this point within the health system, God knows what December
what's going to happen,
And then we're also looking at, this is something that keeps on being highlighted, but it's kind of going under the radar, but it's been all year, a couple of years now, public health nurses. They're gone in their droves, 600 vacancies.
Right.
Public health nurses are so incredibly important. And when you think that if a business was running, and I do believe we need a public health system, but €23 billion, and if something isn't working, like there's an issue here. Like, why can't we make this work?
When you look at the public health nurse, because often people will look and they'll say, well, look, it's the acute hospital system that is under pressure, therefore that's where the money should go. But I remember years ago, a guy talking to me about the kind of small interventions that GPs and pharmacists could make. And he said, look, if you have an elderly person who comes into you and you notice that their dentures aren't fitting well, if you can get them to get teeth that fit properly, they won't get mouth ulcers. If they do get mouth ulcers, they'll change what they eat. That'll give them gastric problems, and 2 years later, they'll show up in hospital. So those kind of things like public health system and the step-down facilities then to get people out at the end of hospital stays, all of those have to be resolved, and we're a long way away from it.
Do you think we'll see the private hospitals coming into play again to help with the burden? I don't think so. They'll go down that road.
It made sense during the COVID thing because you just needed places to put people effectively. It seems like such a jury-rigged solution that for basic medical care, we're buying in private hospitals to support a creaking public system, but who knows?
Well, we need a public 23 billion. If you've got an opinion on that, we'd love to hear from you. It's 0896 111 111. More great news on the front of the Irish Independent, as we saw today, is that there's been a surge in burglaries due to the cost of living crisis.
Yeah, a surge in burglaries and a surge in thefts. So we're seeing a big increase in sort of shoplifting and break-ins into shops. I think something to the order of about 30% of an increase, and a huge increase in most of the urban areas in respect of burglaries. So big increases in break-ins in Dublin, Limerick and in Cork. And it has to be said, it's one of those areas where I think people sort of feel, well, you know, your house gets broken into, you call the guards. In many instances, the guards arrive and say, well,
nothing I can do.
What do you want us to do? Like, long gone, your telly's away. And it seems to be linked directly with the cost of living. The reports are suggesting that, like everybody else, professional criminals are finding it hard to make ends meet, so they're nicking more of your stuff.
And just in between April and June, 9,048 thefts in Dublin alone.
9,000.
Like approaching 10,000 thefts in Dublin alone in those couple of months.
And I think they have it broken down into 6 main regions across Dublin. And I think it was running at something to the order of 100 burglaries per day during that period.
100 a day.
And we don't have enough guards. Like, they're not going to... You're not seeing any guards on the street to prevent something like this. You're not.
No, and you're also seeing this as... I mean, this is a business for a lot of the people who do it.
Yes.
There's a sort of, it isn't that it is one bad actor in your community who decides he's going to go in and nick your stuff. This is gangs of people who go out and organised raids and say, right, we're going to do an evening's burglary.
And on top of the Daily Mail here, the front of the Daily Mail, keeping with the cost of living crisis, my 35,000 electric bill shock. 35,000.
It's the story of I think a person who was running a supermarket whose electric bill went from, I can't remember the period.
6,500
was where it started. So they started for 6,000, then it went to, I think, 15, and now it's heading for 35. I was talking to a friend of mine a while ago who's a butcher, and he was running me through the bills that he's facing just for refrigeration. Now, if you're in that kind of business, you can't turn off the fridge. Like it's what the business is based on. So you suddenly discover, well, my costs have quadrupled or more if you look at I mean, that's almost by a factor of 8. And you're left with the choice of, well, you either find the money to pay for this or you go out of business.
So we're going with small shop owners, small suppliers are probably going to we don't want this mightn't happen but help needs to come.
Well,
they could be going out of business just because
they are getting the support scheme, the business energy support scheme.
Yeah, but again, we're talking about record profits all over the world for energy companies, and small businesses go out and the big boys stay and play, and you're like, okay, so is that the end of communities? Like, is this what's going to happen?
And it's also terribly unfair depending on the business that you're in, because let's say that you're a business where you're a local pizza shop. Well, you're going to have high energy costs because you're going to be needing running ovens. If you're a local business where you're a solicitor, well, basically you need enough to keep the room warm and the lights on.
That's just a little small supermarket.
Correct.
So it's not like it's a massive big industry or something. It's a small shop.
Correct. Now, we will undoubtedly see those kind of the windfall profits being taxed because the EU is trying to move in a way that won't harm the overall market. But as David Hanley said when Digital closed in Castlebar, that doesn't butter many parsnips in Castlebar. That doesn't butter parsnips in a local shop.
It absolutely doesn't. That was Flora Crowe. She runs the gala shop in 6 Mile Bridge in County Clare. There are also cost of living protests planned for this weekend. There are 20 protests, maybe 22 nationwide. You'll be able to find out where those are if you want to go. But as a result of this, air fryers. The demand for air fryers have gone up 3,000% because of the power that they use. And look at the face on Anton Savage.
This is my sceptical face.
Look at this. Look at this.
Have you got an air fryer?
No, I have air fryers up to here, Alan. I'm sick of hearing about air fryers. I'm sick of hearing about what you can put in air fryers. I'm sick of stupid recipes where you take a bit of bread and you put an egg and you put that in your air fryer. Air fryers
and it's all fabulous. It's gorgeous.
Exactly. Total arse. And now we're being told that people are buying air fryers for energy reasons.
Well, in fairness, air fryers on average cost €64 a year to run, where an oven is $385.
Nobody is buying an air fryer for energy reasons. They're buying an air fryer because they're trendy. They are the fidget spinner of the modern kitchen.
They're the new George Foreman.
Exactly.
That's what
they're just a silly thing.
Now, I have to say, my mother's obsessed
with
her.
an air fryer.
Oh, she loves it. She uses the air fryer all the time. Now, to be fair, I think it's because the oven's broken and she can't be bothered fixing it. That could be it. But everything goes in the air fryer.
Now, look, I should say,
everything.
because Alan looked so disappointed when I said that, I'm not begrudging anybody their air fryer. If you get joy out of your air fryer, have at it. But nobody's buying them for altruistic reasons to save the planet.
Tommy has an air fryer. Of course, Tommy has an air fryer. You know, he has to have everything.
What does the air fry in it? Do we know?
What do you air fry?
Present and I've never used it.
A wedding present that he's never used.
That I don't understand. How could you have an air fryer and not use it? Like, if I had one, I'd say, well, give it a shot. You can't just leave it in the house and not touch it.
It's sitting in the cupboard and you've never used it.
Never used it, yeah. It made chicken wings on it once and they were desperate.
So it just didn't.
There you go.
Tommy Bow down the barrel of the car. Air fryers, they're desperate. I love when you look at these things, it's like it's surged in 3,000%, and you're like, it comes from air fryers monthly.
Exactly. God, I hope the ad break doesn't have any ads for air fryers, lads. We're all in trouble.
Let us know, 089 611. Do you want to prove them wrong? And that it, you'd be like, this is the best thing ever. We'll try to get an air fryer and see if we can do something. Anton Savage from Newstalk, as always, an utter pleasure.
Thank you so much.
We have lots more coming up after break in Ireland Day.
You're very welcome back. The Global Boyhood Initiative, a good thing, encourages boys to talk about their feelings and learn about gender stereotypes.
And it's very interesting. There's a new study emerged from it. Psychotherapist and author of the 15-minute parenting book, Joanna Fortune, is with us now. Thank you so much, Joanna. Can you tell us what this Global Boyhood Initiative is? Because the report had some interesting findings yesterday.
Yeah, so this is a drive to really challenge those stereotypes that what it is to be a boy, what it is to be a man, and how that might inhibit anyone expressing their emotions or feelings. So it's really to set up, actually, we do need to create an environment that facilitates boys from very young ages. This initiative is working from 4 to 15-year-olds primarily, but with their caregivers and parents. And I think that's really important in this, that if we want to affect sustained, meaningful change in how boys and men talk about their feelings, share emotions, express emotions, even difficult emotions in very healthy, positive ways, then we have to involve their parents and important adults in their lives. So there's also a part of this that talks about how you create these conversations in the workplace, or I would even add into the school environment, because teachers are such important role models in children's lives as well, and very important adults. So it's really looking at how we can all take an active role in challenging this, this trope that we've often, boys don't cry. In one way we want to roll our eyes and kind of think, sure, nobody says that anymore. But actually, that's had a lasting impact psychologically on how we raise our children in very gendered ways. And it's challenging that and saying, look, we need to do this differently. We need to be encouraging our boys just as much as our girls, all children, to express their emotions openly in healthy ways.
Now, I have a girl and a boy. They're incredibly different.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane, the difference in them. So what do you want parents to do with their boy as opposed to different to the girl? Or do you treat them the same? Like, what do you mean? How are they meant to deal with this or move with this?
I think you could have, dare I say, you could have 2 or 3 girls and 2 or 3 boys all together, and they would all be different, even beyond gender. They would all be different, because children engage with the world, and even their parents. Like if you've siblings, if you line up all your siblings and say, describe your parents, we'd all give very different versions of the same parents. So it's actually how we experience. So all children need different input from their parents, regardless of gender. Some of them are really naturally able to go, I'm really cross with you, and that's why I threw my toys across the room. And others are like, I don't know why I did that. And I'm telling you the truth. I'm not being evasive. I really don't know. So I might need extra help at going, you got really frustrated because you couldn't get it to work and you threw it across the room because you got so mad. So then you're helping them to understand. So a lot of it is in parenting young children is giving them back the meaning behind their overt behaviour and linking what we do and say is always underpinned by an emotional and physical state. Children don't just know that. They have to be taught that. And it's not about sitting them down and going, today I'm going to teach you about behaviour and feelings. It's how we speak to them. So on an ongoing basis, we're like, you're getting really frustrated. I wonder what we could do now with that feeling. And you're offering them positive alternatives to express anger, frustration, because we're certainly not going down the road of don't be angry, don't be sad, don't be frustrated, because that doesn't give them an alternative, positive way to express it. All feelings are valid. And we're just trying to work with our children from the youngest ages to give them an emotional language and fluency that they are as comfortable expressing anger in a positive, healthy way that doesn't harm them or others as they are in expressing joy and happiness.
Yeah, and I suppose it's not putting limits on it, because I think for you, when you talk about it, like Emma is the most girly girl in the entire world. She wants to be a princess, that's it. And Jamie would just tear through their house, rip a butt, like he's the Hulk.
Yeah. Do you know? He's obsessed, and then watches the Hulk, and watches these figures so kind of taking their anger out. Bashing things.
Absolutely. But children are at the receiving end, as are parents, by the way, of a bombardment of very gendered, stereotypical messaging. From the moment we birth them, we're colour coding what we wrap them in to signify to the world who this is. So actually, there's an entire marketing world out there worth multi-billions deciding how our children should be raised and express their feelings. Initiatives like this really put the onus back on parents to go, not only are we telling you, because I think most of us go, yeah, we know it should change, but how do you do that? This is giving you really practical resources for ways to start conversations, making small changes that actually over the years in a ripple effect will have very big impact. So I think it's really positive. And I know the statistics and research.
Will it come to Ireland? So it's an initiative. It's in the UK, it's in America.
Yeah. But we do know in Ireland that there's not this huge difference between the statistics you're going to read as they apply to American children or UK children. Like, other research done in Ireland has shown us that over half of boys aged between 10 and 17 have opted out of going to an extracurricular activity because they feel badly about how they look. We know that boys are just as affected by pressures online and social media about how they should behave, how they should look as girls. There might be a very minute difference of maybe 8 or 9% between the groups, but we actually talk to girls much more proactively about body image, self-esteem, confidence, you know, believing in yourself. And we're much later bringing those same conversations, if we do it all, to our boys. Okay. We need to change that.
So in teenage years,
we have to be as young as possible.
As young as possible. But in teenage years, you know, when those divides do come and people can get secularised or...
Exactly.
You know, I think that, you know, mixing girls, boys, people of different skin colours, people of different religions, people, like, it's really important. It can't be bad.
No, it's all good. And I think it's about inclusion, it's about diversity, but more than just sound bites. It's about practically, how do I do this? So as parents and important adults in the lives of children, we have to start with ourselves. We have to have a word with, well, where am I at with that? What's my knowledge base? How do I upskill and inform myself on the topics and issues that matter in children's lives now, so that I'm confident in having those conversations? And if, I should say when, we get down a road with children in conversation that we're like, I've actually run out of information, this is as much as I know about this topic, it is okay to say, you've got really great questions. I don't have all the answers right now, but I'm going to go and find them out and come back to you to continue the chat.
That's so nice. Do parents not just ignore when they don't know the answer? That's what I remember. Oh, I can't hear that child.
I'd love to hear from people at home on this as well. The Global Boy Initiative. I mean, it just teaching boys it's healthy to share their emotions, to speak out against bullying, inequality and gender stereotypes. 0896 111 111. Thank you so much for getting in touch with us. And Joanna Fortune, great to have you with us. Thank you.
Great to be here. Thanks.
We'll be back with you in just a minute. Hello, welcome back to Wednesday's Ireland AM.
Matching the letters behind. Coming up, the classical singer turned vocal coach who has mastered the voices of stars like Grace Jones, Glenn Hansard and Dermot Kennedy.
You're the exact same colour as the AM, just so that now. Move over, Athena and Aphrodite. Later we learn about the somewhat forgotten goddesses from Irish myths and legends.
Really interesting. Plus, after 9, TikTok magician Joel M shows off his sleight of hand skills. He's, what, like 15 million followers on TikTok?
15 million.
Crazy.
That's absolutely mad. Alan, just as many followers around the studio every single day, my love.
There we go. Now, Sarah Butler sneaking some veg into your family dinner. So what are you going to make for Sarah?
I am making a lovely Italian dish with pasta and chicken, a homemade sauce that has 5 hidden veg. So this is a great one for the kids.
And great, not necessarily great one for the parents.
Yes.
Yeah, to get it in,
everybody
to
eats
sneak it
the
in.
one dinner. Yeah.
Perfect. Looking forward to that. That's coming up a little later on.
It's time now to take a look at today's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline, plan to link job seekers' benefit to previous earnings. Higher earners could receive larger welfare payments if they lose their job under fresh proposals due to go to Cabinet before Christmas.
The Sun goes with COVID rules sent Olivia packing. I'm a Celebrity. Strict COVID rules force Olivia Attwood to sensationally drop out.
Schoolgirl OnlyFans blackmail nightmare. That's the front page of the Herald. 3 men blackmailed a teenage girl by threatening to disclose explicit photographs from her OnlyFans account to her family and friends if she didn't hand over €10,000.
The Start leads with stab terror at OAP's flats. Pensioners in a gated complex in Ballyfermot in Dublin are living in fear after a man was stabbed to death.
The Examiner leads with 100,000 without hospital bed this year. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly has admitted there are unacceptable shortcomings in the health service, with more than 100,000 patients forced to wait without a bed in hospitals so far this year.
The Daily Mail reports hospitals overcrowding is at unprecedented levels. The headline, 100,000 without a bed in hospital this year.
The Irish Independent's front page reads, surge in theft due to the cost of living crisis. Garda Commissioner Drew Harris has linked the cost of living crisis to a sharp rise in burglaries.
And finally, the Mirror's headline, my 35k electric bills shock. A village grocer in 6 Mile Bridge has warned small shops will shut under skyrocketing costs after getting 2 electricity bills totalling €35,000. My goodness.
That's
Isn't that shocking?
incredible there.
Yeah, village grocer, 35 grand, 2 bills.
That's Flora Crow. She is in 6 Mile Bridge in County Clare. And when Flora put it up on Twitter, yes, you remember seeing it, and then someone else came in under and showed their electricity bill, and it was like for 130,000. I was like,
130,000?
Yeah. Underneath it.
We can't
So I
afford
don't know
to pay.
I don't know what it was for.
If
they had a
Flora would
big
like
thing.
to chat to us, get in touch with us.
And just said, yes, she can't afford to pay a 20 grand electricity bill. Frightening. And a lot of people out there are talking about that. But you know what could solve it all?
Buy an
Every
air
single
fryer.
thing.
Buy an air fryer. Seemingly, we were talking about this earlier on, and with the cost of living crisis, people have gone out in their droves to buy air fryers. It's gone up 3,000%.
According to airfryers.ie, is it?
I know, yeah. and you know the way it's like one air fryer was sold last year, so it's gone up 3,000%.
It's like the Aaron jumpers.
Christine said, I only use my cooker once a week on a Sunday. Every other day I use my air fryer. It's great for teenagers too. It's the best thing I ever bought. Happy days, says Christine.
Well, there we go. Dave's a bit like me, because I have an air fryer. I got it as a wedding present a number of years ago. It's been in the drawer for years.
Like you've been married since the flood.
A long time,
I can't believe there was air fryers back then.
I know, you would be surprised, wouldn't you? Dave, we bought into the air fryer Frad last year, used it for a couple of months. Now it's stuck in the back of the drawer and never gets used. Takes up too much counter space, and I didn't even notice a difference in the bills.
Would you not try and take it out and try and use it, no?
Well, I tried. I made chicken with it. Like, it's grand. But
nice for chips.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, he doesn't want... No, look at the way that...
I don't know.
Did you have a George Foreman?
No, never. Oh, yeah, no, we had the...
You did, yeah. Again, that was for like a minute and a half.
As a student, it was the
biz
best that
thing.
was. Everything went to the George Foreman. Yeah. Do you know what was really bad?
Toasties.
Do you know the fat that came at the bottom of it? Yeah. We used the fat to put on the fry. How bad's that?
Oh,
we were
my
students.
God.
Isn't that disgusting?
Oh.
That was collected in the little tray, the
tray thing.
The trough at the end.
True students were disgusting.
Guys, do you know what? If you want to out yourself as doing something like that, we would love to hear from you. It's 0896 111 111. We'd love to hear about the hacks that you're doing, electricity bills, anything like that. We are here for you. We've got loads more in the air fryers, actually, so we'll get to those in just a little while. But after the break, singing teacher to the stars, Judith Mok, and how she helped save Dermot Kennedy's voice. Wow. And thank God she did. We'll talk to you shortly.
From being a child of Holocaust survivors to becoming a successful soprano and singing coach, our next guest has a truly fascinating life story.
Judith Mok has just published her memoir and she joins us now. Judith, it is lovely to have you here. Thank you so much
for having me.
For being here.
Good morning.
Because The State of Dark is something else, your memoir, and what it encompasses. And I suppose if we go back to the start of your life, you know, you're the child of Holocaust survivors. So what impact? That must have had a huge impact on your life, or was it something that you didn't discuss?
My parents protected us a lot, my sister and I, when we were young, until about our teenage years. But we had no family. I had no grandparents. We had no family around us. But my parents had a very positive outlook on life. They survived. They wanted to go on with their lives. Yeah. They wanted to give us as good a life as possible. And obviously there were a lot of their friends around them who had, you know, numbers, concentration camp numbers on their arms. And sometimes they didn't, you know, they talked about it, and sometimes they couldn't cope with it. So we knew there was a lot of suffering, and there was death around us, but there was also a lot of life. So, I had a good youth, you know, with a lot of books, music, talking.
Yeah. A happy life.
A happy childhood,
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But there must have been things that you saw that were incredibly difficult. I mean, there's a bit you talk about, I think, am I right? So your sister was in the wall when your grandparents were taken away.
That's my half-sister, yes. I have a sister and a half-sister. My father had a daughter. My parents were quite old when I was born. And my sister was alive during the Second World War. She was a small child. And she was in hiding with our paternal grandparents. Yeah. And they were betrayed. And they had double walls. They could hide in between, but obviously they they knew the Gestapo and the police were coming. Somebody had told them they were on their way, so they pushed the child in between double walls. And she heard them being arrested. She couldn't even knock on the wall to say goodbye, and she knew full well, I mean, she must have been 9 or 10.
My goodness.
But she knew full well she would never see them again.
They saved her life.
They did.
In that moment, they saved her life. And it took her many years to tell you that.
She never told me until 2017. She is, she's very old and she's quite sick. And she said, I felt so guilty about it. And I said, well, why did you never told us? You know, I said, yeah, but I survived and I couldn't even say goodbye. And I never had the courage to tell you that you know, I was actually there when they...
At the age of 9 or 10, it's just the most horrendous of memories that will live with you forever. And even when the war finished, you and your parents, it's still... It restricted you going into restaurants, into shops. You just never knew who you'd bump into.
Well, I mean, I was born in the countryside, and even we had people who came, you know, who sold vegetables and so on and so on. And there were people there who we knew had been collaborating with the Germans. And yeah, we tried to avoid those shops, and we tried to avoid restaurants. And yes, of course, I was aware of that. I mean, there was always that's why my book is called The State of Dark. There was always a dark side to life, you know. There was a void there, and it was a dark void. And
because growing up in the Netherlands, you know, of course, it was everywhere, and I suppose that has given us one of the most famous stories of a Jewish person during the war, and that's Anne Frank's story.
Anna was just Anna for us. I mean, in the beginning, when well, I was born long after the war, of course, but my aunt Sarah, who was 36 when she went to Auschwitz, and met Anna in Auschwitz, and must have written some letters, tried to write some letters to her brother, my father, and maybe kept a diary and was very friendly with Anna. I mean, maybe they slept side by side, I don't know, but they were very close. And when Anna went to Bergen-Belsen, you know, where she died, she must have given her those letters and those papers. And somehow Anna's father, Otto, survived. And somebody must have given him a pile of papers, and my aunt's papers were there as well. And then years later, he decided to contact my father and give him those letters.
He showed up to the house?
And he showed up, yeah. Well, obviously, I was 5 or 6. Yeah. But I remember him because he came and he was very tall, and there was a shadow around him. I don't know, maybe I'm a very intuitive person. Yeah. So even as a child, I must have felt that.
Something was there.
Also, my father was crying, and I'd never seen my father cry. You know, they always tried to protect us when we were small. So
of course.
Like any parent would do. You know, that's exactly, you know, you try to shield your children from maybe the horrible situations that's going on. And you mentioned, though, there's the state of dark, but then there was sides of it as a child you didn't realise maybe what was going on. And singing, obviously, was a huge part of your childhood. And it's amazing, even in reading this, because you've gone through the most difficult of times to then move to Paris when you're only 15. To busk?
No, I moved to Paris when I was... I went to the Royal Conservatory in The Hague when I was 15. I graduated and I went to Paris when I was 20.
OK, sorry. So you were busking... When were you busking then?
When I was 20.
OK,
2021, I started busking in the Paris metro.
And is that what your teacher wanted, going to the conservatory and then being out in the streets of Paris doing a bit of a busk?
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, my teacher in Paris wasn't very happy with me busking, but then she saw that, you know, I gathered there was nobody doing classical music so I just sang Mozart and Monteverdi and classical music and in an old, you know, raggedy fur coat and downtrodden boots. And I gathered 100, 200 people around me, you know, twice a week. So
And somebody spotted you?
yes, a man with a silver cane came up to me at the Station Opéra, and he said, "You must come and audition for me." And it turned out to be one of the main agents in France.
Wow.
And he took me on and started organising work for me.
And so began your career performing yourself as a soprano all around the world, which then led you to another career whereby you've been the vocal coach. You end up in Ireland, you meet your husband, you end up in Ireland, you end up as a vocal coach for working with people like Glenn Hansard, Dermot Kennedy, bit of Hosier.
Hosier? No.
No, not Hosier.
Hosier looked after my pets, and I've known him since he was a teenager.
Wow.
And I often sang for him.
You never gave him a lesson?
I never taught him. Well, I gave him a lesson in the reverse because he made me sing at my piano, and he kept saying, "Okay, I want to listen. Can you sing this? Can you sing that?" But I never worked with Andrew, no.
You never, I know you, there's a smile on your face there. You never needed to, obviously.
Brilliant voice, brilliant singer. No, we never got to...
well, Glenn Hansard and Dermot Kennedy still pretty not bad going. And also Whitney Houston. Tell us a little bit more about that story.
Well, I just knew somebody who was in her entourage, and she was staying close to my house. And
in Dublin? Or where
in Dublin,
was this?
yeah.
Dublin,
and she arrived towards midnight and was not in a good state and asked me, "Can you help me?" And I said, "No, I don't think so. You know, I can make you a cup of tea."
Yeah. But I
and have a chat.
Yeah.
That must have been very sad.
Yes, because what an artist, what a voice.
What a voice.
You know?
Unbelievably so.
Yeah.
And working with someone like, I suppose, he's gone so global, but we feel like he feels so local as well, Dermot Kennedy?
Dermot is one of the best students I've ever had. He's works like an athlete, is terribly disciplined. I toured a lot with him. It was a great pleasure to work with him, you know. And
it's interesting you say athlete. You do think that what these singers have to do, like you did, it is like a sport. You have to be dedicated and disciplined.
Oh, you have to. You have to practice every day, and it's a muscular thing. You know, your vocal cords are muscles, so you have to train your muscles and you have to train your breathing, and that's no different from classical singing. I only started coaching about 15, 16 years ago, you know, because I always wanted to have stage experience, and I had a lot of, you know, experience as a soloist.
Yeah.
And I was really interested in hearing that Dermot was surprised that when he went to America, everybody had a vocal coach, because it's like sport. You need a coach who can teach you what you need to improve on and whatever else. Judith, your book, the stories, we're only scratching the surface of this. It is, of course, The State of Dark. Congratulations on it, and continued success as a vocal coach. And thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story.
Thank you very much.
And keeping the stories alive, considering what's going on in the world with anti-Semitism at the moment.
This is very important. It's not only a testament to my parents, but it's what's going on in Ukraine, what is going on in Syria, and so what's going on with poor immigrants. Let's not forget that everybody is a human being and needs to be treated in such a way, you know, and you can't just brush them aside because they had to move to another country. And
absolutely,
be aware,
well said.
Be aware of
what's happening.
Be humane. Please,
absolutely,
you know,
and keeping those stories alive is so important.
Yes.
Judith Mok, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Now, do your children not eat their greens or their vegetables? Yours are okay.
You have to hide them.
Yeah,
this is what it's all about.
What we're doing, yes.
And Sarah Butler is going to make a vegetable pasta with lots of hidden veggies.
Yes, we're going to blitz up the veg, so it's going to be a lovely sauce. But first, I have some chicken breasts here. We're going to make them really tasty. So I have some tomato puree, And dried oregano is a great one to have, always in the house.
Yeah.
And the paprika. Together, they're great to make any chicken breast just really tasty, even just to pan fry them and have them in a sandwich.
Okay.
And then we have the chilies, if you like it, nice and hot.
Oh no, Alan won't be too happy with that.
Just a little, depends on how much you like it.
Dried oregano, that's one of them I'd never buy. I'd buy the sort of parsley or something like that, or mixed herbs or
and
something.
it works well with meat in a bolognese as well, the oregano.
Bolognese. I told you I made a killer bolognese last night. Oregano and paprika in it.
Did you bring us some
I have some in there, yeah, for my lunch.
So what we're doing is we're going to do it all in one pan, and this can also be oven baked. You can pop a lot into an oven dish, into the oven for 45 minutes. This is the hidden veg. So we have red onion. You can use a white onion. You can use leeks. I've got some parsley, basil. That's all for flavour.
Oh, yum.
Celery.
Now, the kids are going to see this, though.
They'll see this now, but wait till you see what I'm going to show you how to hide it.
Oh, okay.
Some tomatoes and some garlic cloves. You don't have to worry about how you chop them or anything at all.
So you're cooking them down kind of thing, soften them off, right?
Yeah.
And the colours of that just fab.
Look at how healthy that is.
That looks lovely,
Eat colour. They say you should eat colour. Now, I also have some pasta on here, and this goes great with mash, wedges, pasta, lots of different dishes. So it's a handy one to kind of mix up. So you just want to let that cook away. Reduce the heat, and we're going to actually add in a little bit of stock just to nearly steam the veg.
Okay, right,
So let that cook, bring it down. And I'm just going to add a little bit of chicken stock. If you had a lid, you could pop that on.
Okay, so it kind of now you've kind of seared both sides of the chicken. It kind of boils it then.
So that's sealed that flavour in, and we're just going to let that simmer away. So you can leave it. Keep an eye on it.
How long would you simmer it for?
You'd want to probably leave it for maybe 10 minutes to get them veg nice and soft.
Nice and soft.
I might try this. This looks good.
Yeah,
and
it's one pan, so you don't have lots of different things on the go.
Brilliant.
So you let that do its thing, and once that veg has softened, you'll know yourself. Add the stock. You get yourself a blitzer. Every house, I think, has one of these.
Yeah.
And you pour the veg, what's left over, take your chicken out, set it aside.
Okay.
If you want to crisp it up, you can pop it in the oven. And you pour all of that veg into a jug. And you blitz it.
Okay.
And that's where your hidden veg is.
And that's your sauce.
So that's just like
your sauce for your chicken
what you buy in a supermarket in a jar. That's it, made fresh.
So what have you got in there? So you've got...
celery, tomatoes, garlic, onion, basil, parsley,
loads
peppers.
of goodness. I mean, it's
loads
brilliant,
of goodness. And this freezes really well. So you can also freeze if you have any left over just to add to pasta. So what you do then is you get that back in the same pan. Obviously, I have a different one here.
Yeah.
And get that on the heat, and we're going to bubble that up. If you want to make it creamy, you could add a little bit of creme fraiche or fresh cream.
Oh, yum.
But you could put this in a dish and put it into the oven as well.
Yes.
And how long would you leave it in the oven
About
for?
45 minutes.
45?
With the lid on. And as I said, if you want to crisp up the chicken, take the lid off. At the
I
end.
see you with one in the oven earlier on.
You did.
Oh,
we don't have 45 minutes. So what we're doing is I have cooked pasta here. You can, as I said, have this with mash or wedges or chips. And I'm going to add that in on top. Okay, we're just going to get this bubbling nicely. You have to have cheese.
And of course, you have your chicken on the side as well. So you've chopped that all up.
So this is the chicken cooked, sliced. Now you can add this in here if you want. I like to add it on top.
Okay.
I've got some Parmesan here.
Oh, yeah.
As much or as little as you like. So I have as much.
I love
yeah.
Oh, my God, that's good.
Now we're talking.
I do, when you're having a spaghetti bolognese or any Italian, the Parmesan, what is it about the Parmesan just adds to it?
Gorgeous and everything.
Would you put that in instead of the creme fraiche, or could you do the same? Like,
the same.
Would you both? Yeah,
if you want to make it creamier, and if you want to make it more tomato-based, just a little tomato puree in on top of the veg before you blitz it.
Right, okay.
And I also have some fresh parsley and basil there as well.
Oh,
and that's it, done. So you just want to let that simmer down. So it's a great dish. And if it's a thing you don't have time, pop it
And the chicken then goes in on top of it,
Chicken can go in on top now, but I tend to pop it in on top after I've put this
I'm looking forward
Oh,
to
so
this
you
now.
basically don't put the chicken into the pan and do it?
Yeah, you can. But this is just, I suppose,
for presentation.
Presentation,
now.
yes.
Exactly.
But you know what? If you weren't trying to hide the veg from the children, That dish looks gorgeous there
Doesn't
on the pan. It looks absolutely gorgeous. And it's in your...
presentation's all about that in your new book as well.
My new book that's just out.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Food for life.
Food for life, real food, normal ingredients that you have at home. And that's available on my website, sarahbutlerathome.com.
We're both looking at the chicken and leek pie. Having some gorgeous things here.
I'll make that for you the next time I'm in.
It looks gorgeous.
It really does, yeah. Some gorgeous things.
So it's nice, normal recipes.
Congratulations.
So who wants to start?
There we go. Do you want to show that there like that, Tommy?
No. I think we'll see the next one, I think.
Okay, you start, Denise. There you go.
So you can see how quick and easy it is. And that sauce, that is the main problem I find with parents. The kids won't eat the veg. And the reaction I've had from this recipe has been incredible. People are blown away with, I can't believe everybody ate the one dinner that I made because the kids had no idea.
The sauce is really good.
Yeah.
Sarah Butler, well done. That's amazing.
Thank
really
you very
tasty.
much.
Thank you very much. Now, pass me over mine now there.
Up next, we're going to learn about Irish folklore's forgotten goddesses.
We'll see in a few minutes. Tucking in here.
Hello, it's great to have you back. Now, we've all
Are you finished eating your dinner? Are you okay? He sat down 30 seconds ago. Not even, he sat down 4 seconds ago.
I mean, whatever about for the kids, that food was delicious. Now, you take it away there.
Do you know what? Welcome back. We've all heard about tales of Cú Chulainn and Fionn, but what about Bé Mannair or Bé Binn? Our next guest is on a mission to reclaim our forgotten goddesses. Please welcome Ellen Ryan. Ellen, it's lovely to have you with us. Thank you so much. And we're going to talk about your debut novel, which is just fantastic. But where did your interest in Irish mythology come from?
I always had an interest in Irish mythology, growing up with stories about Fionn McCool and Tiernan Og. I had no idea that the stories that I learned in school were, I suppose, so divorced from the origin mythology. But I always found those stories fascinating. And I think as I grew up, I was very interested in historical fiction, the likes of Marita Conlon McKenna. You know, her work about the Irish famine, you know, and so many other periods of Irish history gave me so much pride in my heritage and my culture. So it really stemmed from there. And then my grandma, who I have a very close relationship with, when her 5 children grew up, she went to college and she studied classics and archaeology, and she learned a lot about the Greek myths, but also the Irish. And so she taught me a little bit about the Tawn and talked about how it was Ireland's answer to the Odyssey, long before a lot of people were having those conversations.
It's so, when you mention Marita Conlon McKenna, it's just think everyone got under the hawthorn tree. It was like that was, we had to read it all at a certain age. But when you say like Irish mythology, and we do know, you know, Toriach Diarmid agus Grania, you know, and Grania, and they're up a tree doing whatever the hell they're doing, or Niamh Cínór, and you know, we think of, you know, women in mythology in that way. But what you're bringing here is that we do have a mythology that is equivalent to the Greek, like to Zeus, to Hera, to everything that's going to the Greek and Roman gods. Exactly. But we don't really pay attention to it as much.
Exactly, and I think that was very much a surprise to me as well. You know, even when I was reading those earlier tales or learning about them in school, as you did, these women were described as kind of shadowy, you know, magical figures, you know, often villains or, you know, seducers. They weren't really these empowered gods, which they had been in earlier times, both in pagan oral mythology and in some of the earlier texts that were written down by Irish Christian scribes. You know, in Cormac's glossary from the 12th century, it was described as like Naid, the war god, for example, or Mongfion, who the Irish women worshipped at Samhain. So it was a lot more explicit at that time, and this was written down by Christian scribes. So yeah, it seemed to get lost over the years, and female stories were suppressed.
It's funny, I have a son and a daughter, and my son has a poster of all these Marvel characters and gods and all sorts of stuff. And my daughter kind of looks to try and find many girls on it. Yeah. And there's not many.
No.
And a book like this is amazing to show that there is actually so many stories that haven't been told.
This is the thing, I agree. And I think nowadays, unfortunately, Irish children will know more about Greek gods, you know, like Zeus and Athena, or Norse gods like Thor and Loki, because of the likes of Marvel mythology. But I've also visited some schools and talked to children who are, you know, proudly telling me everything they know about Greek gods and Greek mythology, and they are described explicitly as Greek gods in their school lessons. But when I ask them, you know, tell me about an Irish god or goddess that you know, I got answers like St. Patrick and Jesus. You know, there was no.
Good combo.
So, yeah, but
I mean, that exactly highlights.
Yeah.
You know, Jesus from Crossmaglen. You know him.
But it's something, because there's this whole mystique. The kids gobble this stuff up. Like, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And having an Irish angle on it would be amazing.
We're looking at some of the pictures that are in your book here. Let's talk about this. Is called Girls Who Slay Monsters, Daring Tales of Ireland's Forgotten Goddesses. This is your debut novel, and it is absolutely beautiful. This isn't for young, like, I absolutely bed into this. So can you tell us about some of these goddesses that we mightn't know, like when it's not just Queen Maeve, when there are so many others that are there?
Absolutely. I mean, interestingly, you know, the story of Maeve, I think, has been so divorced from, you know, the ancient mythology. And, you know, when I took a trip to, for example, Rathcroghan in Roscommon, I learned about how Maeve was actually a sovereignty goddess who was one and the same with the land there. And similarly, you know, Brige, the goddess, I think a lot of people now know that before St. Bridget, she was a goddess Brige, but wouldn't necessarily know that origin story. So that is included, but there's also a lot of goddesses that people wouldn't have heard of. For example, Bé Mannair, a woman of destruction who was a gender fluid spy. There is Bé Quilla,
that is cool.
A demon slayer, who could manipulate trees with her mind. There is an immortal mermaid who was actually later canonised as a saint and has an official saint day.
Oh, those Christians love taking them all, don't they?
I love Macha, the queen, the High Queen of Ireland. She's a quick-witted, flame-haired goddess who believed it was her destiny to lead.
Yes.
Love it.
And interestingly, Armagh is named after Macha. And, you know, I think that's another part of what makes the Irish gods so relevant for us as Irish people, because it's not only that they provide a stronger sense of heritage for children, a stronger sense of female empowerment. There's also a lot of diversity and inclusivity built into these ancient stories, but they're also very linked to our land. A lot of these gods, you know, were worshipped in specific locations in tribal areas, and they were one and the same with the rivers, the forests, the mountains. So Armagh is one and the same with Macha, and I think that's such a beautiful aspect of our gods.
Absolutely gorgeous, and it's so funny you're saying diversity and inclusion, but these are stories from thousands of years ago, so that's it. Like, it's not for the sake of it. You know, so many people read Stephen Fry's Mythos and everything like this. This is something about us. This is a debut novel from book from Ellen Ryan. It's called Girls Who Slay Monsters. It is for children, but I learned an awful lot. I'm going to be honest. When I had this, it is a gorgeous book. Ellen, huge congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And hi to your grandma Carmel.
And I know you want to do one on boys. The boys' mythology is stuff as well. It's really, really interesting stuff, Ellen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed.
This morning. Now, coming up after 9, we're going to meet the mind-bending magician with 16 million TikTok followers.
Macha would have had that many followers, wouldn't she? Plus, I'm a celeb gossip and cozy coats. Ireland AM, guys. We'll talk to you in just a little while.
Welcome back to the final hour of Ireland AM now. Brian Lloyd is here with us with all the latest gossip on the I'm a Celeb jungle. What are we going to be talking about later?
Yeah, so Olivia Atwood leaving the show. Yeah, that was a big thing.
They're saying because of COVID. They didn't want her to go back in because they didn't want to risk the COVID. We don't know. There's speculation. And then we'll be talking about Mike Tyndall. He talked about how he met his wife, Sarah Phillips. Yeah, that was and of course, Matt Hancock going in tonight.
Ooh, that's going to be the one that's going to be, we were talking about that off air, but there's a lot going to be going on tonight. So looking forward to our chat a little later on. We're in What's on the Catwalk.
Brian signed up to do I'm a Celebrity and he'd never watched it before, and he came in today going, why did I do this?
Hey.
Okay, all right.
He's enjoying every second of it. Now, Justin King is showing us how to style the puffer jacket.
Yes.
Is it a puffer or puffa?
Puffer officially, but I think Irish people say puffa.
Puffa, it's a puffa, right?
So there's many types of puffa jackets that people might know, but we have the cropped puffa, like you're seeing on the catwalk right now. We've kind of an oversized fit. We've one that's belted, and we've one that's a much lighter puffa. So we're looking at 4 different ways to style it.
4 different ways to style a puffa. You guys, Tommy, beat that.
Well, I'm going to be going up in a puffa of smoke in a minute. Magician Joel Mawhinney is going to give us a teaser. He's a TikTok follower, 16 million TikTok followers. Magician, it's incredible. Check it out. Joel, congratulations. Good morning to meet you.
Thank you. Great to meet you as well. Thanks for having me.
Would you have a really quick trick that you can maybe show us?
I just mess with your mind a little bit. If you had to quickly give me a number 1 through 100, what would you say?
Do I tell you?
Yeah.
14.
14. I didn't ask you beforehand. That's the first time I asked you that. I want to show you this. I have, just like the Notes app on my phone, I'll go in here. Can you see a list of celebrities here?
Michael Jackson 1,
check them all
Kim Kardashian 2, Daniel Radcliffe 11, Michael Jordan 12, David Beckham 13.
What's number 14 is what I'm curious.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, but number 15 would have been...
Kanye West.
But you said 14.
Yeah.
And that was... Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, yeah.
I did write something down earlier just to be sure. If I can unzip my jacket here. Oh, this might get stuck and ruin the show. It does say nothing up my sleeve byline. I did write Tom Hanks, and I promise I don't have writing all over my body. You can take a look at that. And there we go. We're off to a good start.
That's insane.
I just influenced.
OK, well, listen, we're going to have lots more of that coming up very shortly. Joel, thanks very much.
You're very welcome.
You can see why you've been signed up for Blue Peter and Ireland M. Now, we are all looking forward to the exciting clash, aren't we, Al, between Munster and South Africa in Páirc Uí Chaoimh tomorrow night. And we actually have some good news. We have a pair of tickets to give it away. If you want to get to the match, there's 2 tickets there. Go to Ireland M's Instagram page for all the details on how to enter. You're the very best of luck. And don't worry, people of Cork, about the video before the one that could be getting in trouble that might...
The one where you slagged Cork?
Yeah, kind of.
So,
you kind of slagged Cork
Munster good, or are they going to win?
Well, no, let's not ask if Munster are good. But they're playing against South Africa A team. And this could be the chance for Munster to turn their season around.
But Razzie's going to be there, isn't he?
Razzie Erasmus, their head coach, is going to be there. Who was the Munster head coach, is now the South African head coach.
Oh.
There's a bit of history there. And listen, a match in Páirc Uí Chaoimh is huge.
Are you
and
going?
There's going to be a big crowd there, so
You're going to go home?
I'll be at work, love. I love the way you went, a bit of gossip, a bit of intrigue.
A rugby match in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, Munster against South Africa. It's going to be a classic game, so get over to the Instagram page and get yourself 2 tickets.
Now, we were talking earlier on because there was so much going on about the cost of living, and then there was from, we think, airfryersarethe.com that there's been a 6,000% increase in people buying air fryers. 3,000. Sorry, 3,000.
So 3,000 people have bought one.
That's a joke. So we were like, is it just 3,000 people have bought one? Because this fellow over here, he has one, but he doesn't really.
And this is why, right? So Georgia said air fryers are okay, but I think sometimes the food cooked in it can taste a bit dry. I prefer to use the oven. Tracy said the exact same. I have an air fryer, but I don't use it because the food tastes dry. Don't recommend it.
So is that why when your chicken wings, when you cooked your chicken wings, they were dry?
Just a bit. But listen, if it saves you money, then listen, go for it.
Well, that's true.
Tommy Bowe used to cook his... how did you defrost your chicken?
Let's move on.
How did you defrost your chicken? In a toaster. So I don't think we should be taking cooking tips from him.
Disgusting, Murren. Coming up next, magician and mentalist Joel M is going to talk tricks, TikTok and television. Look at that. Handsome devil.
Handsome fella. Look at that hair.
That's so cool.
He should be in One Direction. Right, see you after the break.
Welcome back. Now, over 1,600 videos, 20 million online followers and 1 billion views. What?
That's just our morning here on Ireland AM.
Our next guest, he's got a few more than that. He is a TikTok success. I think you could call him a success, couldn't you?
Yes, I think so. But before we chat to magician and mentalist Joel Mawhinney, here's a look at some of his mind-bending tricks.
Rate the magic trick. If I can turn this lollipop into Spider-Man, would that deserve a follow?
I suppose it would, Joe, but that's impossible. I don't know why you keep doing it. There's no way. What?
Funny that. Every trick, it's 10 out of 10.
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
Joel Mawhinney, great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me on, guys. Good morning.
From Bangor, County Down, how did you get into music, or into magic?
Do you know, I was into music. I was into music first because my grandmother loved music, so she had me play piano. So my first job was actually playing piano in a jazz bar before I was doing magic. But then didn't like that, and the jazz bar shut down, probably because of me.
Like he's in a band, doesn't he?
You do have the look of being in a band. I mean, a hurricane's going to come along and that hair ain't moving. It is like, that is magic in and of itself.
It's hard work.
But it's like Paul Daniels was your gateway drug.
Yeah, well, my grandfather loves Paul Daniels, and he used to always be on the TV. And I think we were in America. I was 5 or 6. There's a magic shop, which is now shut down since COVID, so it's not there anymore. But he bought me a couple of magic tricks, and I was hooked. That was it. I was just that little weirdo with a deck of cards all the time. So
really?
It's been a rabbit hole, yeah.
And what about mentalism then? Like, when did you get into that?
That came in a little bit later. I think I was a teenager and saw a Darren Brown show, and that melted my head big time. Okay, I couldn't figure any of it out, even though I'd been doing magic for 6 or 7 years, completely different skill set. And from there, toured with another mentalist, learned some stuff from there, got some other mentors, and I just loved doing that sort of thing. It was really appealing to me.
Because it really, you know, when Darren Brown does the stuff about predicting the lotto numbers or whatever, I remember speaking to Keith Barry about it, and he was like, can you not just sit down? I'm like, no, Keith, I can't figure out. That's the whole point of it.
Amazing.
Because Keith is amazing.
But you're analytical in how, and there is a competitiveness in how you're like, how has he done that? How has she done? It is about figuring it out, like a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, I think that's part of what got me into it as well, is I'm a bit of a problem solver, and it used to really annoy me that I couldn't figure out how the tricks were done. More so than wanting to impress people, I didn't like not knowing. I think that was it.
Yeah.
And Darren Brown's show did that for me, really frustrated me, so spent 5 years trying to figure it all out. And yeah, we're still working on it.
And what about TikTok then? Like, it's the perfect platform, I suppose, for you to get this, to showcase your skills. And I mean, when we're talking like 15, 16 million viewers, like, it's mind.
I got lucky there because I've always been recording videos with my brother for fun anyway since I was a kid, and I've always done magic, so the two just linked up quite nicely. And especially over lockdown when we couldn't leave the house, I had no choice but to just sit and make videos, and it just happened to be that other people were bored waiting to watch something on their phones. So I've had a lot of fun doing it. It was a lot of work to make them, but coming up with new stuff was always challenging.
Yeah, because
I love it. It's so much fun.
Well, you've got to feed the beast, and that means that because there's the tenets of magic, right? The pillars that are there.
You're absolutely right.
And then you're sitting there going, well, this is one of the pillars, but I've got to learn how to do this 100 different ways.
Well, this is it, and you have to learn to do it in 5 seconds. That's the other thing. A trick that could have taken 6 minutes on TV doesn't really work anymore for online, for any platform, so you have to just shorten it down and down and down, and sometimes you're left with a trick that could have been 4 minutes. It's done in 4 seconds, so...
Wow.
Yeah.
And would you like to take it live eventually?
Oh, absolutely, and that's my favourite thing. I think if I had to choose now to give up all the social media stuff and just do live shows, it would be an easy decision, 100%. Really? Can't beat it. Live magic's the best thing in the world, and it doesn't matter how many followers you have. It's not the same as seeing that reaction in real life, and being able to do that just doesn't do the same thing.
But it's interesting that, like, you're on social media, and we all know, you know, we live in a world where nothing's real. So you must get all the time, sure, you recorded that. Like, sure, you could just edit that in.
Yeah,
you know?
That's a challenge, and when I had to get used to just not caring about that, because I think we don't use camera tricks in the videos, mainly because I like to be able to do any of the tricks I could do on camera in real life if I had warning and could prepare for it. But I mean, if someone doesn't know how it's done, it's easy to just say it's a camera trick. And fair enough, like, I get it. Some of them do come across as mental. I think there was one girl, sometimes it's silly, she said, but you just CGI'd the juice. I made juice disappear. I'm like, it would be more difficult for me to CGI the juice than to just do a magic trick, yeah.
It's so funny how people do mental gymnastics to get to something to fob you off rather than going, there is a way to do this.
It's actually giving me more credit because I think some of that amazing CGI stuff you can do, and there's some amazing creators like a guy called Zach King who does some amazing camera work that's actually way more difficult and time-consuming than just learning magic, in my head anyway. So I guess I could take it as a weird compliment. I don't know.
You've got another compliment. You're obviously doing incredible stuff. You're actually getting involved in Blue Peter. Is that... where does that come from?
Started on Friday. Well, I've been a guest on the show twice before. I was on when I was 19, I think. Did some tricks then and came back on again this summer and then got a call. Just curious if I wanted to
Did
do
you
a
grow
screen
up
test.
watching a bit of Blue Peter?
I did, yeah. I mean, I barely watched TV when I grew up. We weren't a TV family, but it was always on. And I do remember when I was in primary school, Zoe Salmon came to the school. We had to wear welly boots for some reason. Can't remember why. So I remember getting curious as to what the show was then.
Because Zoe Salmon, she's a former presenter on Blue Peter as well. Went to the same school, is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. We fact-checked that the other day. And I got to go back to my old primary school last week to say hello to some of the old teachers and students, which was fun for the show. So
how amazing is that? And show a few tricks as well.
Absolutely, of course. That's the one thing you can't get away with, like doing tricks anywhere you go. Part of the job.
But that's the thing on TikTok now. When you're talking about 15 million people, 16 million people all over the globe. But you're walking down the road in Belfast, and I'm assuming it's like, Joel, how are you?
Yeah, I do stand out a little bit as well. I've tried. they do spot me there. Do you know what, though? The nice thing is, honestly, everyone's so lovely. And because I'm not doing anything that I think is too offensive or controversial, most people are quite friendly. So you do sometimes get strange ones where you'll be, in a shopping centre and you have your hands full of shopping, and they'll be like, do a trick, and you're like, I can't
throw this at them.
But listen, the thing is, I spent so many years trying to get people to watch that now when people want to see the stuff, I'm delighted about it. So it is lovely and people are so nice.
It's unreal. Well, you do have a trick for us.
Well, hold on, you're doing a podcast as well called Influence.
It's really exciting. I haven't been so excited about something in a long time. The podcast is called Influence. We bring on celebrity guests and do a little bit of what I might try with you in a little second, where I try to get inside their heads, use some psychological techniques.
That's Francis, the train spotter from TikTok, right?
He was an absolute hero. He was. We've had Tom Daly on as well. We've had some amazing guests, and they've all been a lot of fun. And they don't really know what they're getting into when they come on the show, and they leave hopefully with their head in a bit of a mess.
The diver.
It's really interesting because you can watch it, but listening to what it is or seeing what people are doing, it's great fun.
Well, we had the challenge of trying to come up with magic that would work for audio only.
Exactly.
That was and nobody has really done that so far. So we had a lot of time trying to come up with how we would do it. And once we got the format, we've been running with it. But the episodes are a lot of fun, and you find out all sorts of secrets about the guests that you wouldn't otherwise. And we teach the listeners how to do a lot of the stuff as well. So as we're going along, I'm kind of breaking the fourth wall and telling them how I am doing it.
You see, now, if you want that, there you go. Influence. You can get it wherever you get your podcast. And some of the things you do on it, we might try to do with Tommy right now.
Yeah,
he loves a brain hack, doesn't he?
I don't know if you do.
Don't worry, we are live on television here, Joel. Don't be
tricky.
Okay,
no
so
deep secrets.
What are we going to do?
Well, on the podcast, we do a game with each guest called 20 Questions.
Yep.
So I'll ask you to think of something, and within 20 questions, I'll try and tell you what it is you're thinking of. Now, the trick here is you do not need to tell me the truth in answer to my questions. So if you like, you can lie to me.
But do I have to say it out loud?
You do. You do have to say it out loud. Right. Well, unless you want to really throw me off and make it difficult.
Okay, go
It just
on,
might make for a bad TV if I get it wrong. That's the
Yeah.
that's the problem there, ruin my career. I will say we did speak briefly beforehand because there's a lot of dead air sometimes, but I've asked you to think of something.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I asked you first kiss or first pet. Which did you like to...
First pet.
First pet. And I've given you a
tried
piece
to get
of
him to
paper.
do first kiss. He
Yeah, not today. Next time. It was last week. Yeah, do me a favour. Be honest, right? We really haven't prearranged this, as in you haven't just told me.
100% I haven't. Now, I did write it down, though.
Yes, I've asked you to take a piece of paper, write it down. Is that on you?
No, I gave it to Alan.
Alan has it.
Alan has it in his pocket.
And this was at 9 o'clock, and you gave it to me, and I
Don't take it out yet.
Okay.
Have you read it, Alan?
No.
Okay, you could have helped me there. That would have been
Oh,
good.
no, I didn't read it.
Oh, next time.
Would you have got the mental vibe from me?
I do get all sorts of strange mental vibes coming from this side of the room.
From him, be careful.
You gotta be careful.
Okay, what will we do?
Well, let's give it a rock. So I'll ask you some questions. You can try this as well with me, see how well we do. It's first pet we're going for?
Yes.
Okay, and you can tell the truth or you can tell a lie. You ready?
Okay.
Was this a cat?
Yes.
Was this a rabbit?
Yes.
Is this a dog?
No.
Is this a... There we go.
My God.
That was always in the third.
Are we guessing the name of it, or are we guessing...
Keep going.
Do you want me to guess the name, or do you want me to just guess the animal?
Can I say that I'm a mentalist right now and say that we're talking about Tommy's first dog, right?
All right.
I'm amazing. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're talking dogs here. Is that right? You can be honest.
No.
Oh, okay, curious. Is this a... Be honest, was this a small dog?
Yes.
A brown dog?
No.
Can you just tell me the breed?
Collie.
Collie. We love collie. Okay. I think the first letter of the name of the animal.
And I can lie, obviously.
You can lie if you like until the last
You can lie
second.
in your brain. Is that what you're trying to do
try not
right
to get
now?
this way. Watch carefully now because you'll see this. Watch. A, B, C, D, E, F. and you relax, so it's already gone. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Could you just go A, B, C, D?
A, B, C.
Look at Alan's. He's
so intense.
I'm watching to see if there's any clues.
If you had to take a guess, what would you say the first letter would be?
F, I thought.
F?
I thought A, B, C, D, E, F. His face went at F.
You saw it? You saw the tell? Was it the letter F?
No.
No. What letter do you think it might be?
I think it's D.
You think it's D? Very good. Okay. And be honest, is that right or wrong?
That was right.
That was right. I think you are being honest. Okay, I'll figure out the rest here. Look at me. Can you imagine calling the dog? Don't say it, but imagine calling the dog. Just open your mouth. Like this. Don't say anything. Just imagine calling the dog. Keep it open. And just like say, be honest for a second. What age were you when you had the dog?
I'd say 2, 3. Well,
So
from when I was born.
Little high squeaky voice, and you would have been like, I think it's a really obvious. It's like it is a dog. There's like doggy or something like that. So, is that close?
Is it Doggy?
It's called Doggy, yeah. Our first dog at home was called Doggy.
Oh, creative name. It's good.
Is that what... So you've guessed
we can prove it,
Oh,
yeah. Well, I always have people write it down because sometimes people lie to make me look bad on TV
you
or
said-
lie to me.
How did you know? How?
Doggy. There we go. Said Doggy.
How did you know?
What, D?
How did you know it was Doggy?
Would you like to really know why and how she knew? Would you like to know?
Yeah.
We did have a chat before, and I said before I got here to the studio, I did actually stop for coffee, and I'm going to show you my camera roll. I took a picture.
Right.
This is going to be hard to pick up on camera, but could you tell me the timestamp on the photograph from this morning?
Today at 5:09.
It was very early in the morning. We stopped at the service. Look, I did write down on a piece of paper one word before we started. What word did I actually write down before we started?
Doggy.
Doggy, so we'd go for that. We did indeed.
That's ridiculous.
Thank you.
Joel, fair play to you. I can see why you have 15, 60 million followers on TikTok.
Well done, Joel. Well done. A pleasure to have you here.
Wowee.
Thank you very much.
Influenced is the name of the podcast, and Joel will be on Blue Peter on BBC, of course, starting on Friday. And best of luck with that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Joel
at Joel Magician. There you go.
Absolutely. Welcome back. It's time to get out the winter coat, isn't it?
Yes, Justine King is here styling the padded puffer. And we do say puffer here, don't we?
Puffer.
No,
Puffer, puffer.
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 Oh, puffer, OK.
We don't have time for this. Come on, let's go.
Let's get on to our first lot.
So we're looking at lots of different gorgeous puffer jackets for the winter ahead. Starting off with this gorgeous relaxed fit puffer on Ursula. And this one is from Irish brand Friday's Edit. And this is available in a small to medium or a medium to large, but it is that relaxed, oversized fit. You can see it has the pockets. It's nice and lightly padded. And this one's going to suit most body types, because if you do like that just kind of relaxed fit, it's not going to accentuate any kind of parts of your body. It's an easy throw on and go kind of a jacket.
You look so cute today, Ursula. What else have we got going on here? This lovely jumper really makes
is also from Friday's Edit, a beautiful soft knit. This one is one size. It's going to fit a kind of an 8 to a 14 because it's that boxy fit. Again, it's very relaxed in its texture. But you can see the little bit of kind of a lurex glitter thread going through it. So that kind of makes it nice and Christmassy as well. A good Christmas Day jumper.
A great colour on the jeans.
Yes, gorgeous jeans. Again, those ones are from On Trend. They're a push-up skinny jeans, so they do lift the bum as well.
Yeah.
And they are just, a great fit, and they're available in an 8 to a 16. The boots are a gorgeous riding boot. They're from Murphy's Shoes. They have a stretch panel on the calf, which I love, so it's going to fit different calf sizes. They are genuine leather, and then they've got a fleece lining as well.
She says Cape Middleton today is what our Ursula is.
This is just stunning.
Now look at this lovely little, we've got lovely earrings.
The earrings are from Irish brand Zoe & Co. So they're a gorgeous textured hoop. And then this necklace, this is an engraved bar. They've actually engraved the name Justine on this one, but you can get absolutely anything engraved onto it, and it's free of charge, the engraving. So that's a really nice price point for a gifting piece.
And can we look at the cute little hat?
Yes, her hat then from Grayson and Goose. This is a ribbed beanie, but the pom-poms are detachable, and you can pick from 16 different colour pom-poms in that too.
That is
and
so
then
cute.
Just take it off and then stick another one on.
Add a different one on, so you can any colour to match your different jackets.
Love it.
Make sure you check that out. Justine's got something to do with it, I have a feeling. Now Sophie's here.
So Sophie's here in this beautiful look that is from On Trend. And this is our cropped puffer. So this is a great one if you think the puffer is kind of swamp
Too
your
big
frame.
and swamping you, yeah.
This one it's a drawstring at the bottom. This is also one size. It's going to fit a kind of an 8 to a 14 because you can pull it in tighter or wear it looser, and it's got the kind of fleece lapels as well.
So does that go into a hood?
No, it's just a large kind of oversized lapel, but you can zip it right up, so it's going to be super cozy as well around the neck.
I saw that they're back. Remember the jackets? They always come back with a zip down the back of them, and then you do that.
So on to her look then. It's to show how to dress the puffer jacket up a little bit with this look, all from On Trend. I love these sweater vests. They're kind of everywhere this season. Again, this one's one size. As you can see, it's a very relaxed fit. It's going to fit up to about a size 14, and it's got the dipped back as well.
I love the shape of it, yeah.
Isn't it really gorgeous? And we've put that over a gorgeous blouse. That's a nice thick texture. It's definitely not going to be sheer. It hangs really well. It doesn't crease very easily, and it does have a little breast pocket as well.
You can't beat a nice crisp white blouse. Sure
100%, but one that doesn't go sheer is what I always look for.
Now, these jeans can be worn a lot of different ways. They've got that 70s vibe to them.
Very 70s. I'm loving this kind of mid-rise flare. They're 98% cotton and 2% elastane. So, you know, they're a really nice quality with that little bit of a stretch as well in those. Wear them with a heel, but I've shown how to wear them here with your kind of biker boot. These are a gorgeous quilted boot. They are genuine leather. Little bit of a heel for your daytime, and they come in black as well.
Lovely. Sophie, you look as relaxed as they come today. Absolutely lovely look on you.
Her jewellery there as well. You've got the little initial necklace you can see there. So again, you can get any initial, any name, any date engraved, free of charge from Zoe & Co. And then those gorgeous everyday hoops. I have these myself and I find I'm wearing them every day.
I love them. They're an everyday hoop.
Yes, an everyday
special
hoop.
occasion hoop. They're an everyday hoop.
They're everyday, but you could wear them for a special occasion as well.
My friend, loads of different things. Danny, good morning.
Danielle's up in this beautiful look from Regatta Great Outdoors, isn't it? And this is from their Giovanna Fletcher collection. They've just announced her as their new ambassador for Regatta Great Outdoors. It's sustainable because it's made from plastic bottles and it is feather-free. It does have a beautiful down filling, but it is against animal cruelty and everything. It is a sustainable jacket. It is water repellent as well and insulated, so it doesn't just look good.
That's really important.
It really has the technical elements to it as well, and of course the faux fur trim on the hood as well.
Does that faux fur trim come off?
That one doesn't, no. That's always on it. So then you can see this is belted, which is a good way to wear a puffer, again, if you think that they're too oversized or too relaxed in a fit. But she's got the little half-zip fleece underneath as well, which has a brushed inner, and then it has an anti-pill side, so long-lasting wear in your fleece.
Anti-what?
Anti-pilling, so the little balls you get. So that is going to last forever, and they do that in lots of different colours.
Like, if it's water-resistant, why have you got the fur thing like that? If it rains, that's going to get drenched.
A bit of fashion as well.
Sure. It'd be like a dead animal around you that's raining.
No, it
will not. It's not going to smell. It's not going to smell, though.
Because it's faux fur. It's not real fur. Her beautiful biker boots you saw there as well were from Murphy Shoes, and they come in brown too.
You look so disgusted with the fur.
But it's a hood. It makes sense now that it's a hood.
Ursula, save him from himself. Oh no, more fur.
Another fabulous faux fur look, but from Regatta Great Outdoors. And this one's from the Avian Garahy edit. So she did a 12-piece collection that's out now with Regatta Great Outdoors. This one is really lightly padded, so you would think it's not going to be as warm, but it does come with ThermoGuard insulation, which is their kind of technical insulation. That means it's super cozy, even though it won't add any bulk. As you can see, it has the zip pockets, which we love. Great everyday coat. I've layered it up over this fabulous fleece that's got that really fluffy finish.
Yeah, Ursula, can we have a look at that?
Isn't that so cozy? It looks like something you'd want to wear around the house, but you can wear this out as well.
Oh, yeah.
Super cozy with the two little pockets as well. And it is kind of a nice shape. It's not a big unstructured fleece. You can see it kind of draws in at the waist too. Comes in a whole range of colours as well at Regatta Great Outdoors.
And then the jeans, Ursula had them on already earlier on.
Yes, so the gorgeous shoes, aren't they fab? They're real leather, they are quilted as well, and they come in a black too, but the outside zip is just there for effect, and then there's a full inside zip, so you're not unlacing them every time. Her jewellery then, she's fabulous earrings from Zoe & Co, and they've got the little pearl detail on them too, and then she got some gorgeous stacked rings.
I want to go skiing after that. That was amazing.
I just want to wrap up.
You want to wrap up? Yeah. Okay, that's he wants to wrap up.
Thank you, Justine. That was lovely.
Thank you so
much. Now, all your I'm a Celeb gossip is coming up after the break.
Well, it's not even been a week already, and I'm a Celebrity. There's been a shock exit, some new campmates, and of course, the cooking conflict.
There always is. Here's a look at the highlights.
There's no time to take a breath. Here on I'm a Celebrity. Get me out of here!
Are we chucking the veg back in?
No.
Didn't fancy helping, BG?
I just feel like Charlene's very controlling.
Oh, hey.
Time to go for this last star!
Yes, yes, yes! Charlene, I don't mind if you tell me what to do, but give me some jobs. If you're going to be the boss. I'm not being the boss. Yeah, I'll be the boss, baby.
2 new arrivals are on their way, and they will be taking part in the next trial.
Yes, Brian Lloyd has all the latest from the jungle. Let's start by talking about Olivia Attwood.
Where is she?
Where is she? She's gone.
She is gone, yeah. So there's been loads of speculation as to what actually happened. It's ranged from, you know, some people think that she got COVID. I disagree with that, and the reason I disagree with that is because if it was that she had COVID, they would have said it, and they would have said that everyone on the cast was tested as well, and
they're all fine.
Another speculation was that she's pregnant. Now, I don't know if that's, you know, who's to say if that's true or not, that the initial sort of
she
medical
only found out
that
the jungle?
that she had. Then the third speculation is that she was injured, possibly injured when she was jumping out of the helicopter, and that the injury she sustained was more serious than they thought.
Because we do know she went for medical treatment.
Yes,
we
that's
do know
the thing,
that's for fact. She went out of the camp for medical treatment, and they didn't allow her back in.
Yeah, but that's what happened Richard Madeley last year. Once he left for medical treatment,
he wasn't allowed back in.
He's outside the bubble, and therefore he's not allowed in anymore. So that's probably what it is. They have to keep a COVID-safe camp. And unfortunately, if you go out of the camp for treatment, I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
Who needs those other three theories? I've broken it all down already.
There you go. Tommy, listen here. I can go. You can take this on.
There's a bit of uproar. There's a lot of maybe bad noise around that. So they kind of seem to be bringing in these two new campmates very quickly.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Definitely earlier than they would have.
Yeah, and like, I mean, it's interesting, like, people have already said, like, oh, I'm not going to watch it if Olivia Attwood isn't in it anymore. Because she, like, a lot of people were tuning in specifically for her. Like, when people watch these shows, like, they're watching... Yeah, for Olivia Attwood, definitely.
Well, definitely
like, Fionnuala Jones on 6 o'clock show was like... No, your man...
They definitely won't watch
No.
when they see him.
Oh, right.
Sean Walsh and Matt Hancock coming in tonight, and they will do the next trial.
Yeah, they'll do the next Bush Tucker trial. Now, Matt Hancock, my God, that poor man, he is just walking into it. Like, because keep in mind, like, Sean Walsh was kind of going in there with a bit of bad juju around him, obviously from everything that happened on Strictly. But Matt Hancock, I mean, he had, you know,
What happened to him on Strictly?
He was caught kissing his partner who was married.
Yeah, and he was married, yeah. Okay. And Matt Hancock had similar as well.
Well, we know that.
Yeah, but on top of that as well, Matt Hancock, you know, broke COVID regulations during the pandemic. Charlene White, her mother died during the pandemic and wasn't allowed visit and wasn't allowed to go to the funeral because of that. So
there's going to be real tension.
Like, real big tension. Now, I'm actually curious, do the people on do the cast know that Matt Hancock is going in there?
Oh, wow.
Because like, they were
they do, because I tell you why. They were sort of saying, they even said it, Anton Deck said it last night, the worst kept secret in television.
Sure, but like, I mean, I would imagine they would have been isolated in Australia for a couple of days before them stories kind of got out. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't know about it, because you would think they would have started talking about it already. But then again, look... Editing, yeah, exactly.
Editing, you see.
Let's talk about Mike Tyndall as well. Shall we talk about him? What he was discussing yesterday?
I really like Mike in it.
He's a former English rugby player, of course, he's married to Zara Phillips, who's the Royal.
Yeah, Zara Phillips. And he's now the bookie's favourite to win already.
I really like him. Yeah. He's getting stuck in with everybody. He's helping everybody.
Yes.
He's doing things for people. And he just seems to be a really solid, nice guy.
That's it. Like, I mean, you saw him when he was in doing the trial at the start. Like, I mean, he just doesn't seem to get fazed at all. Literally had a spider, like, crawling on his head. Wasn't bothered at all. But yeah, he was talking last night about how he met his wife, Zara Phillips. Very, very standard story. Like, I don't know why people are going mental about it.
How do you meet a princess? I mean, how would you meet a princess?
This is it.
It was when he was at the Rugby World Cup.
He was at the Rugby World Cup. He didn't get called up for the team, and he basically was a bit annoyed and went on the tear, and he met Zara Phillips.
He met her, and she went on the tear. They had a lunch, and they both went on. And he said, we both got blocked.
Oh, they're wild, Zara and Mike are wild, yeah.
Are they really?
Oh, yeah. With no, like, for sure, they have a place in Bath, because he would have played rugby for Bath, and, serious party house. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But
Princess Anne's
we'll maybe hear more about that. Okay, so he's favourite.
Yeah, is he favourite?
Oh, yeah, he is favourite. Yeah. Mike Tyndall is, like, the bookie's favourite to win. I saw that yesterday, yeah. Jill Scott is 2, and then I think Boy George is in 3. But
how's he going?
No. Boy George, well, this is it. He had a bit of a clash already with Charlene White over what to do with the cooking. Now, Boy George said that, like, oh, you know, like, I'm a really, really good cook and all the rest of it, and Charlene White was just bulling in there and doing whatever she wants. I don't know if... I think there is a little bit of, like, very judicious editing going on here there. I'm pretty sure that the conversation was nowhere near as heated as it was portrayed to be. But in saying that, I would imagine Boy George is probably a little bit fussy and probably does want things his way. And I'd say Charlene White is just used to no one questioning her at all at home and stuff like that. She just goes in there and does it. So...
What do you say Boy George keeps doing? He keeps kind of ticking himself off.
He just goes and starts meditating.
Yeah.
He goes off, and when there's a bit of conflict, he'll just go off on his own. He'll go...
That helps. I mean, if that helps to diffuse, because, I mean, as we know, Boy George has a very, very violent temper.
Yeah.
But let's not talk about that.
Let's not talk about that.
Listen, Brian Lloyd, of course, listen, we're only a couple episodes in, but it's
I'm
really...
loving it
really
I mean,
enjoyable.
there's a good mixture of people there, for sure. And I think Matt Hancock is definitely going to spin it up.
Thanks very much
Thank
for
you
joining
very
us.
much for that.
Now, Warren, what's coming up tomorrow?
Loads. Paul Hollywood, we're going to be asking why there's so much cooking and not baking on Bake Off. We're live in Páirc Uí Chaoimh ahead of Munster taking on South Africa. Plus, budget-friendly city breaks and loads more. We're live from 7 right here on Virgin Media 1. We hope you have a lovely day. Talk to you soon. Bye.